So as I start to tell you the story of my flight around the world and how this incredible opportunity and challenge and what was also turbulence in my life came together, I want to teach you a little bit about that holding pattern first. So when a holding pattern is directed by air traffic control to a pilot who is out there flying along from point A to point B, it's basically because there's an emergency going on either at the airport, like a fire, there's been a plane crash, there's something out of our control, right? Or there's a storm along the path that we can't necessarily get around. So we've got to hold in place, and we're directed to just start circling in the air. There's an oval pattern. Do we have any pilots in the room? I need to see if I'm going to be fact-checked immediately or later. Either's fine, but I like to see. So a holding pattern is this oval. And as you enter, there's all these sophisticated methods of entering. You've got to reduce your airspeeds. You're putting the airplane in a configuration that is so unusual. You're even speaking a different kind of language when it comes to how you're communicating with your co-pilot or ATC. So they come over the radios, and in my case, they would say 58 November Golf, enter the hold at such and such a direction at 150 knots. And so I respond and say yes, and then I enter the hold. And I literally have to stay at that slow speed and continue circling until I get further clearance. I'm not really allowed to even ask, hey, when am I going to get out of here, right? I'm running a little low on fuel. And the time in the holding pattern isn't something that I enjoy at all. In fact, no pilots really enjoy it because you're being put in your place. You're told, we are now in charge, do what we say, and also don't ask many questions. Is this starting to sound familiar to any of us? Right? The other thing about the hold is that there are other airplanes out there filtering into the same airspace. So suddenly that oval is very crowded airspace. You could be cruising around with an F-16, you've got a Cessna 172, and you're all merged together. You've got to agree on an airspeed, right? Does that sound at all like working from home with Zoom classes? Right? That crowded airspace. And then, if you don't manage your fuel correctly and you just keep buzzing around too quickly in that hold, you'll run out of fuel. And that's what happened to a lot of small businesses throughout the beginning of 2020, 2021, as we headed through COVID. This holding pattern has ended a lot of flights completely. Now, as a pilot, I know that in that holding pattern, eventually it will end. That hold will be released, and air traffic control will call me out of the blue, so I better be listening really closely. 58 November Golf, you're cleared to climb up to, flight level 270. So climb up to 27,000 feet, continue on up. But if I'm not ready to leave that hold, and I have to ask for more information or say, oh, ATC, we need another minute, we'll call you back when we're ready. Not only do I delay myself, I also delay the other aircraft behind me, ahead of me, around me. But if I'm prepared, I have gone through my emergency checklist on so many different levels that when ATC calls and they clear me to advance to my next destination, I am ready to go. So part of the message that's built into my story today, that it's why I said that I'm so glad that we didn't meet 2 years ago. While of course I'm not glad for any part of the COVID pandemic, I am glad that I can share this part of my message because it took me being placed in a metaphorical holding pattern on the ground, unable to go out and fly like I used to, right? To travel to my speaking engagements and continue my career as well. I was put in that holding pattern and forced to really think, what can I take from this? How can I be really prepared when it's time to start exiting? And I feel like I'm getting there slowly. So I want to share some of those concepts and ideas with you and tell you how to really master the art of navigating the holding pattern.